My name is Erik Curtis. I live in Fishtown. I grew up in New York, but I've been down here for 7-8 years now. Generally, I make things out of wood. I started in wood. That was how I fell in love with making things. The things that I make tend to be a blend between furniture and sculpture. So I trained as a furniture maker. I trained in making doors and tables and chairs and things of that nature. But the more I got into it, the more I realized what I was trying to do was tell a story with an object. Because I did grow up as a singer, as a musician, as an actor. So doing all of those things really informed the way that I approach my visual work now. And what ended up happening just over time is I realized that I wanted to make objects that people engage with emotionally. And so trying to, again, tell a story with an object, make a statement in almost a single word, if you will, that really engages people and allows them to interact with these pieces of art as well. So making furniture that is art allows people to have art in their home that they can justify because, hey, I'm sitting at my dining table eating dinner at it every night. I'm interacting with a cabinet in some way. I'm making these things that matter to people on an emotional level, and yet they still have the joy of interacting with it daily. I just finished up a last project for a company called Sabertooth that sponsors a lot of my work. It was an ostrich egg that I decided to turn into a desk light, kind of an inane idea that I pitched to them and they seemed to be okay with it. But that turned out phenomenally. They loved it, I loved it. And next up is I have a commission for kind of a coffee station. So this is where that blend of sculpture and furniture comes in, because I just did more of a sculptural piece, and then this next piece is probably going to be a little bit more simple, a little bit more straightforward woodworking. And in between those two things, I like to make boxes because that seems to be my sweet spot of that pure blend between sculpture and furniture. I tend to draw my inspiration from just a myriad of different sources. A table I made called Atlas, which I was just wandering through New York City and down at Rockefeller Center, that big statue of Atlas with the world on his shoulders. And I just thought that had to be exhausting, like holding up the weight of the world on your shoulders forever. Long story short, that ended up becoming kind of a side table with the sculptural form underneath and the tabletop being what represented the world. It could be that, it could be a concept, a philosophical idea of yin and yang and all of these different places, and then trying to figure out how to represent that visually. That's why I love sculpture. I use my studio space as a blend of machines and hand tools. Being trained as a furniture maker or furniture designer proper, I do tend to employ a lot of hand tools for finishing techniques, for shaping techniques, and my goal when I was learning was to never be limited by what a machine could do. And so having all of these hand tool options available to me allows me to kind of go wherever my mind takes me. So I might start in the machine shop, do all of the milling, do most of the joinery, do those things as fast as I can. And then any of the finishing work or any of the things that can't be done on a machine, I take into my bench room and I do a lot of that work in there. Having a membership at NextFab is really nice for accessing a lot of the larger equipment that I don't have access to in my own personal shop. For example, the big joiners, the big planers, the big sanders in this room, as well as some really nice lathes that are in the turning facilities. Being that I try to incorporate a lot of different media into my work, I have full intentions to get into textiles and the metalworking spaces soon. Haven't done it yet, but that's my aim over the next few months. One of my goals professionally would be to make a large-scale installation in the city of Philadelphia somewhere. I am of the belief that art, beautiful objects, beautiful spaces shouldn't just belong to the wealthy. And so giving working folks, lower income folks, just the general public, access to beautiful spaces, I think really matter. It shows people that they are worth investing in, whether that's them investing in themselves or the community investing in itself as a whole. I think that's really, really important. So I would love to do a large scale piece. Part of the reason I joined NextFab is for the community. I've been in Philly about 7-8 years, and yet the community of artists and makers that I've developed over time is more national and it's less local. So having folks around who are embedded in the community, who make awesome things that I get to interact with on a daily basis, that's super, super important. And developing that local community to eventually attain those goals, I think that's what NextFab brings to the table for me. Folks can find me on Instagram at Erik Curtis, YouTube, the same handle, and my website is just encurtis.com.